It's good to be back. How long did the international break last? Quite frankly, it seemed like off-season. But here we are back with another episode of the weekly roundup of our favorite football league in the world.
It's our first episode, you idiot.
What do you mean? We've been doing this since the season kicked off.
I kind of messed up. I forgot to upload the videos.
How can you forget to upload the video? We spent hours making them.
Don't make a fuss of it, man. I went on YouTube, but there were a lot of distractions.
What kind of distractions, may I ask?
You won't know, man. There are these videos of cats playing.
Anyways, back after the international break, some teams might be rusty, whilst others were fresh and looked more sharper. There were a few interesting performances this week. Let's get cracking. It hurts, man. It actually hurts. We can abuse them all we like, but it still won't make up for how those money-hungry left us. Arsenal versus Manchester City, a rivalry which didn't exist until one of these clubs started to lure the other team's key players with the help of some pieces of paper with significant value. As so often this season, you would know what I'm talking about if one of us wasn't distracted by a cat. Arsenal started as the dominating side. Going forward, their attacks had intent, and Welbeck, the new signing, was a beast, shrugging company off, running at the defence, creating good chances. But this Arsenal period of dominance was interrupted. Navas runs down the wing, crosses it in, Aguero scores. It was legit that simple. All that great attacking play and a simple counter-attack allowed City to score. As an Arsenal fan, the most frustrating moment will be when your team is passing the ball around. Just passing it around without any real intent and purpose. But the way they scored the first goal was brilliant. To be fair, it could have been defended better, but the one-touch passing and movement of the ball ripped open the gap, and that finish from Wilshere was just sublime. Now returned the Arsenal phase of dominance. They made this period of dominance count and scored their second. A clearance by Company aimed towards Silva, who doesn't challenge for the header. Wilshere heads it back into the danger area. Sanchez beats the offside trap and places the ball perfectly in the top right corner. But the reoccurring trend of Arsenal making a mistake continued. The zonal marking backfired when, on a City corner, De Michelis arrived at the perfect moment to score the header, whilst the Arsenal defenders watched the ball fly by. City would have been heading home with 3 points if not for the tremendous save by Szczesny in the closing stages. As the match ended 2-2, Southampton versus Newcastle. Going back to the first match Newcastle played this season against Manchester City, all I remembered about that match was the freedom with which Newcastle played, and how impactful the new signings were. The air of optimism amongst the Newcastle faithful was there. You could feel that they felt good with the squad they had and encouraged with their gallant performance against the champions. From that performance to a 4-0 thrashing by Southampton. It doesn't matter how talented your strikers or creative players are if your defense is utterly crap. Your creative players won't be able to perform if they're constantly thinking of what might happen if they lose the ball. Southampton are a decent side. You don't make mistakes against them because they will score. And that is exactly what Newcastle did. For the first goal, a simple throw-in. Newcastle players seemed as if they were glued to their positions. No one moved. Southampton crossed in the box and the defenders were all ball watching. Too easy. Just too easy. The second goal, Southampton crossed the ball long in hope for Pele to get at the end of it. The Newcastle defender Williamson makes a mess of the clearance. Pele and Tadic play a little 1-2 and Pele scores. Newcastle did have some chances of their own, but on 2 occasions Sissoko mistimes his volley in the penalty box. Kind of how kids who are learning to play football do. The third goal, a through ball to Cork, not going anywhere. Williamson should take charge of the situation, but instead waits for Krul to come out and collect it. Miscommunication, and Cork just takes the ball right from below the noses of Krul and Williamson to score. The fourth goal was the goal of the match, curling effort by Schneiderlin, but the build-up play was so simple thanks to the glued to the pitch Newcastle players. Newcastle looked like a dead team with no real belief. Some things will have to change in order to improve on this performance. Final score, Southampton 4, Newcastle 0. Chelsea vs Swansea. When this match kicked off, the first thing worth noting was the attack-minded fullbacks of Chelsea going up against the attack-minded wingers of Swansea. Were Chelsea going to risk being caught up on the counter-attack by pushing their fullbacks up the pitch? Yes, they were, but it did not take long to backfire. Swansea were brave and they were pressing high up the pitch. A similar pressing and wing play allowed Swansea to cross a wicket ball in the box, and Terry scored an own goal. But the special one did produce something special. Instead of forcing the issue, he parked the bus. When teams come back from international break, they can be rusty, especially if they sent a lot of players on international duty, and this rust might take some time to wear off. Mourinho allowed Chelsea this time. Yes, Swansea did play good quality football, and perhaps they had been against any other manager, they might have found themselves 2-0 or even 3-0 up. But that park the bus phase allowed Chelsea the time to grow together as a team. Chelsea scored from a corner right at half-time. Fabregas, as always, delivered in a dangerous area, but Costa, the beast, just held his mark and not allowing him to jump and just headed the ball in. In the second half, Chelsea turned on the style. Little 1-2s down the wing, run inside the full-back, the mazy dribbles of Hazard, all these different attacking threats was just impossible for Swansea to defend. The build-up play by Chelsea was exquisite as always, but the threat Costa provides with his movement makes Chelsea a different team entirely. He scored 2 more goals in the second half, and after being brought on, even Remy got on the score sheet. A match which showcased perfectly that you don't always need to chase the game, and it is as important to do the right thing at the right moment. Final scores: Chelsea 4, Swansea City 2. Stoke City vs Leicester. Let's divide this match into 2 players. First half we have the skinny giant Peter Crouch. He was everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. Long balls by Stoke aimed at Crouch. A through ball down the wing, chased by Crouch. Tracking back the run of midfielders, Crouch is your man. Having a shot on goal, you have Peter Crouch. At moments I was dumbstruck that a man with a body as big as his had such great control of the ball, and even himself. A few attacks seemed like Stoke wanted to force a goal rather than score, even though the end result is still the same, but the method made it different. It was a physical contest. In the second half, on comes Cambiaso, and his different class. Yeah, he may not be the same athlete he was before. Yeah, I mean compared to his previous self, but you give this man the football and watch him work wonders. The passes he made and his movement on the ball was just so elegant. Wow. He was the catalyst. His introduction just improved Leicester as a team. The game's only goal was a result of a Leicester counter, but Cambiaso showed how simple of a game football is. Final score: Stoke 0, Leicester 1. Liverpool vs Aston Villa. It's funny how a team can just be put to a full stop and just stop functioning when struck with 2 injuries. Liverpool, a name so glorified in English and European football a few years back, now lacks the squad depth to compete head-on in multiple competitions. But the funny thing is, the attacking department, which was hit with injuries, wasn't the only area where Liverpool underperformed. Defensively, Liverpool were absolutely shambolic. Aston Villa took the game to Liverpool. They passed the ball swiftly in the Liverpool half. They just outplayed Liverpool in the midfield in the early stages. On set pieces, Liverpool players were all in the wrong positions, not winning the first headers, just absolutely shell-shocked. The corner which resulted in Aston Villa's goal, a through ball towards Ekbonelhor, was overhit. Saka should have been taking charge of the situation, but instead he was confused. I mean confused. How can a centre-back be confused? The contract must have this written somewhere. So what are my duties as a centre-back? Clear the danger. Yes, but do you expect me to do something else? No, just clear the bloody danger. But Saka allows Ekbonelhor to challenge him, and as a result Villa won the corner, the first header, the loose ball, and eventually scored. The defending was just pathetic. After going 1-0 up, Aston Villa just sat back, allowed Liverpool to come at them. But Liverpool had no ideas to come at them. In fact, when they had the ball, the Liverpool players were like, what are we to do of this? Slow passing, no intent whatsoever. The Aston Villa defensive shape was just too good to break down. But it was a poor performance, and every Liverpool fan must be and should be absolutely pissed. Final score: Liverpool 0, Aston Villa 1. Crystal Palace vs Burnley. This is a tough one. Won't drag it much. Both sides wasted some good opportunities, especially the missed penalty from Burnley. In terms of how these teams attacked, there was a lot of wasted potential from both sides. Both teams had their chances to score. In terms of how they defended, they were good enough for the day, but if these teams were to repeat the same defensive performance against any other team, they would have been ripped to shreds. It was a war draw, 0-0, Nothing else much to say. West Bromwich Albion versus Everton. If I was a West Brom fan, or what if I am, and I am saying what if I was just to mess with you, think about it. Anyways, any West Brom fan by now would be so pissed with their defense. I said it before, that as a centre-back, the main thing you are required to do is clear the danger. But when West Brom sign a defender, they should make this little tweak in the contract. So what are my duties as a centre-back? Clear the danger. Right. It's an honour to sign for West Brom. Alright, since you're signing for West Brom, there was this little tweak in the contract. Clear the ball in an area where the opposition player is not there. The amount of defensive errors West Brom have made this season is ridiculous. Come the end of the season, these defensive errors might just cause West Brom a lot of discomfort. Lukaku scored the first goal because the defender cleared the ball right into the path of Lukaku. A dull face followed up until the final whistle with not much attacks being created or good football being played. The second goal Everton scored a defensive error by the goalkeeper which saw the ball tamely roll into the net. Final score West Brom 0, Everton 2. If you are blessed enough to be a supporter of a football club and have the opportunity to support your team in the stadium, don't waste your energy chanting the names of the players or booing the opposition. Your only chant should be heard when the opposition is in your team's penalty area. Get the ball out of the box. This tactic would have clearly worked wonders for both Tottenham and Sunderland in this match. One thing was clear-cut in this match. Tottenham was the dominant team. They created some good chances, hit the woodwork up a couple of times, and perhaps they should have put the game to bed. The dominance started right from kick-off and continued till the final whistle. But a few good saves from Minone or poor finishing from Tottenham's part allowed Sunderland a chance back in the game. The goals both teams scored were just down to how chaotic things were inside the box. Deflections, the ball just spinning around, no one having any idea where the ball might end up, not some pretty goals. Tottenham scored both their goals off rebound. The first of the post, the second from a Sunderland defender. Sunderland scored the first goal thanks to brilliant wing play from Adam Johnson and a few lucky deflections. The second was when they forced an own goal from a wicked free kick at the right side of the penalty box. Tottenham should have won the game, but the spirit Sunderland showed earned them the draw. Final score, Sunderland 2, Tottenham 2. Manchester United versus QPR. I don't want to be a party spoiler for any Manchester United fans here, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if United find it difficult to repeat this match's performance in the near future. First, let's highlight what United did well. Defensive shape changed to the back four, allowing more strength at the back. Di Maria announced himself at the Theatre of Dreams with a magnificent performance. The free kick was no fluke. He ended towards the far post if anyone thought a touch, well and good, but it was always going to test the goalkeeper. Going forward, United were lethal, brutal and showing no mercy, but it is also important to look at the opposition. I don't know how to say this without offending any of the QPR fans, but the fact remains that QPR themselves have not been impressive this season. Come the end of the season, QPR might be struggling to get out of the relegation zone. They may not have conceded these many goals in the first 3 matches of the season, but the gaps were always there to be capitalized on. And to be fair, what United did was capitalize on the poor defensive performance of QPR. This 4-4-2 diamond formation worked a treat for United, and hopefully this is what Van Gaal will stick to and build his team around. But for all you Manchester United fans out there, don't get dragged away with this result and prepare yourself for a bumpy ride. Final score, Manchester United 4, QPR 0. Hull City versus West Ham. I think both teams took the initiative in this match to play some of the highest quality of football as fans will get to witness this week, whilst also producing some absolute moments of madness that will surely result in the opposition scoring the goal. In terms of which teams remained dominant, both teams had the phases in which they were absolutely battered the opposition. Hernandez made his debut for Hull City, and that was some performance. He scored from a thunderous header of a Al Mohammadi cross, but even before that he clearly showed the potential he had, and it surely must have excited all the Hull City fans. West Ham started the second half brightly, but the manner in which they scored the goal was not what everyone was expecting. Valencia is 25 yards away from goal. The Hull defence is under the impression that Valencia is in a position where he is not a threat. Valencia just stood still for a split second, moved the ball a yard to the right and unleashed a cracker. That was some strike. The ability to keep the ball down with that amount of power is not an easy feat to accomplish. After both teams had scored some beautiful goals, collectively they decided it would be a good idea if they gave the fans a visit at the other end of the spectrum. A simple West Ham throw-in, the throw-in taker aimed the ball towards the player who was snapping, but Diame, who wasn't, dashed onto the loose throw-in and finished it with a beautiful finesse shot. Hull City looked at that defensive play and thought, we can do better. Sako crosses the ball from the right. The cross is not in any way, shape or form hit with power. There is no West Ham player pressurising McGregor, who makes a mess whilst dealing with the cross. The ball rebounds off Curtis Davis and West Ham were level. Entertaining football followed these bizarre incidents with both teams trying their luck, but in the end, a draw is a fair result. Final score, Hull City 2, West Ham 2. That's it for this week's episode. Are you happy with how your team performed and the results they got? Comment below and let me know. Subscribe to keep updated with the performances of all the teams in our favourite football league in the world.